To me, the most beautiful word in the dictionary is tariff, and it's my favorite word. It needs a public relations.
This week, Trump did it again. He dropped a massive 104% tariff on China, and it's sending shockwaves through global markets. But here's the real question. Why is Donald Trump slapping massive tariffs on everyone, even America's closest allies? Why does it seem like he's throwing the global economy into chaos? Is there any logic behind it? Believe it or not, there is. And in this video, we're going to walk you through the master plan, one that Trump's top advisors believe could reshape the entire world economy.
I will sign a historic executive order instituting reciprocal tariffs on countries throughout the world. Reciprocal, that means they do it to us and we do it to them. Very simple.
It all begins with Trump's new Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, a billionaire hedge fund manager who once worked with George Soros to shake global markets. According to Bessent, these tariffs aren't just economic bluster. They're the first step in a much larger plan, a plan to redirect America's international economic relationships and rebuild the U.S. as a manufacturing superpower. In other words, what looks like chaos is actually strategy. The goal? To overturn the very trade system the United States itself created after World War II. But is this plan even realistic? Let's take a closer look. To understand it, we need to meet the brains behind the operation. Alongside Bessent is Stephen Miran, Trump's new chief economic advisor. He's a Harvard-trained strategist and former Wall Street heavyweight. And recently, his research paper, A User's Guide to Restructuring Global Trade, has been turning heads in the finance world. Both Scott Bessent and Stephen Miran agree on one urgent issue. America's manufacturing base has collapsed, and that's no small problem. Back in the 1950s, nearly 28% of the U.S. economy came from manufacturing. Today, it's just 10%. Vice President J.D. Vance recently warned that China built more ships last year than the U.S. has since World War II.
One of Beijing's state-owned firms built more commercial ships just last year than all of America has produced since the end of World War II.
Trump's team believes that without urgent intervention, America won't just fall behind economically. It could lose its position as a global superpower. And that brings us to the strategy, a three-step plan Trump's team appears to be following. Step one is where we are right now, total tariff chaos. Trump is imposing tariffs on everyone, even close allies, Europe, Canada, South Korea, and especially China. But why? Because according to Bessent, the chaos is intentional. It's about creating leverage. High tariffs are being used to shock the system, shake the status quo, and force countries to the negotiation table.
The international trading system consists of a web of relationship, military, economic, political. One cannot take a single aspect in isolation. This is how President Trump sees the world, not as a zero-sum game, but as interlinkages that can be reordered to advance the interest of the American people.
Trump doesn't care if the stock market drops. He doesn't care if short-term economic pain rattles investors. The tariffs are a pressure campaign designed to reset the rules of global trade. Step 2, reciprocal tariffs. The idea here is simple: level the playing field. Right now, many countries can export to the U.S. freely, while blocking U.S. products with tariffs, quotas, or sneaky regulations. Trump wants to end that imbalance. Stephen Miran says this is about rewarding fairness, innovation, and the rule of law, not currency manipulation, wage suppression, or intellectual property theft.
It covered intellectual property, it covered market access, it covered purchases of agricultural commodities, it covered currency manipulation, it covered all sorts of things, and it was a fantastic deal.
It's about forcing countries to trade on equal terms. And here's where the leverage from step 1 comes into play. Most countries need access to the U.S. market. They want U.S. dollars. That gives America enormous negotiating power, especially if the tariffs are universal and unavoidable. And finally, step 3, the Mar-a-Lago agreements. This is the end game. Trump's team is envisioning a new kind of global trade agreement, one that could rival historic deals like the Bretton Woods system of 1944 or the Plaza Accord of 1985. Let's break that down. Back in 1944, the Bretton Woods Agreement set up a global economic system where currencies were tied to the U.S. dollar, and the dollar itself was backed by gold. In return, the U.S. offered military protection, access to its markets, and financial stability. Fast forward to 1985, the Plaza Accord Agreement was signed. It was an agreement among the G5 nations to depreciate the U.S. dollar relative to the Japanese yen, and the German Deutschmark. Now, Trump's team wants to do something similar, but on their own terms. They want friendly countries, what Bessent calls the green bucket nations, to agree to the following. 1. Peg their currencies to the US dollar. That means keeping their exchange rates stable to reduce trade shocks. 2. Accept US military protection, naval support, bases, and strategic defense in exchange for deeper economic ties. 3. Commit to adjusting their currency values when the dollar gets too strong. This would prevent the dollar from becoming so overvalued that US manufacturing suffers, while still preserving the dollar's role as the world's reserve currency. It's a bold vision. Countries that sign on get the access to the largest consumer market in the world, dollar stability, and the full security backing of the United States military. But here's the big question. Will any countries actually agree to this? If Trump can convince enough nations to trust him again, this plan could work. But if not, America faces a stark choice. Either give up its reserve currency status or accept dependence on foreign manufacturing. So is Trump's tariff chaos just madness? Or is it the first move in a grand strategy to rebuild American power? Let us know in the comments section. If you found this breakdown useful, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for more.